Today I want to talk about sex shaming women, power disparities, and body count again. And this is inspired by a comment on my video on body counts where this young man said that his body count was 10 times his girlfriend's. And if it had been any higher for her, he would never consider dating her, and that he has standards. To which I replied, it's absolutely okay for you to have your preferences. You can definitely have a preference on anything you want in a relationship. I have a lot of preferences myself. But it got me very curious again around this whole thing of, that a lot of men are kind of very focused on, which is the body count. And it kind of is an interesting comment because I get so many different kinds of comments. I had to block someone today for leaving me 3 comments on different videos telling me what a piece of shit I am, basically. And then I have other men leaving comments telling me that I glow and that I'm radiant, or that I have a lot to offer and I'm interesting. So I enjoy reading the comments, and sometimes I make videos about them. The body count thing is interesting to me because my body count is super freaking high. And it was super freaking high when I got married. It was huge. At the time I got married, it was in the hundreds probably, because I had been an escort for, I think, 6 or 9 months in my early 20s. And I'd gone through kind of a hookup phase for a few months. So I went through like a 1-year period in my 20s where I was sexually very curious and exploring. But I had never cheated on a boyfriend ever, except one time in my whole life. In all the boyfriends I had, I cheated one time. And I was monogamous in 25 years of marriage. So the idea that a high body count means a woman cannot pair bond is not borne out in my experience. I think it's something that is said to control people or to keep women in check. I want to say something else. Certainly everyone can have their preferences, and people have religious preferences and personal preferences. However, on this video, I'm going to play the devil's advocate to some of the shadow parts of this preference, where it's not really a preference, but it's a domination power strategy and a control strategy. And control. I think that it can be a preference, but often it's used as a control thing. Like, I only date women with a low body count. Like, why does it matter? I could see, so again, here's my devil advocate's position. I could see a man looking for a woman who's honest, loyal, dependable, authentic, compassionate, kind, caring, loving, spiritual, hardworking. But why does body count matter? Okay, I think that some men are just very stuck on this thing because they are unable to look at the other factors, or they're controlling. And if you don't know how to spot whether a woman is going to be a good partner for you, if you're not able to read her personality or anything like that, you may have to look at these external factors, like some of the guys in the manosphere, like, she can't be a single mom, and she can't be this, and she can't be that. And you get very rigid around rules if you don't know how to read people or assess people based on who they are and on their personality and their energy and their mental health. That could be one factor. The only reason now with men do I care about men's body count, only if they're players. I don't like guys who are players. And if a guy, I can read a player like that. So I don't care what he did in the past. But if I get player vibes, I don't want it. And I could see the same for a woman. Like, I could see a healthy man would not date a woman who is doing the following. These are red flags for women who are not good partners. They are seeking male attention in the way they dress and on their social media, their Instagram. They're thirst trapping. They're flirting with men. They're seeking validation from men. That's no good. But her body count, who cares? I'm saying this as a woman. Okay. Now, if one of my sons were to date a woman with a high body count, I would want to know what her values are today about relationships, around sex, around monogamy, and how honest she is. Like, I would want to know all that. I would not want any of my sons to date a woman who is flirting with other men. I would want her to be devoted to him. And I'm saying that body count is not the factor to look for necessarily. It could be, but it's not a black or white thing, as I say in myself. The other thing that has to do is there are a lot of men who are very controlling, and they're like, well, I can fuck a lot of women. I'm allowed to have like this gentleman. I hate to pick on you, but I guess I am. I'm allowed to have a body count 10 times that of my girlfriend, but she can't. It's very controlling. It's not an equal power. Now he's saying, I can do what you can't. There's a huge power imbalance. And that's okay if you want that kind of a relationship where the man has the power and the woman is submissive and subservient, kind of like before the 80s, before the women's liberation movement. The man earned the money and the man got to fuck around, and the woman had to keep her legs crossed and be demure and be pleasing to the man. And that's the history that women are culturally in our Western world have grown up in. It's our job to be demure, to please the man, to not have an opinion, to just be quiet. You hear these guys say, I want to, have you ever heard these guys on some of these manosphere videos where they go, I want a woman who has sex with me, makes me a sandwich, and doesn't talk too much. Okay, so that's a very traditional model of the woman is my object to serve me, and I'm the powerful man. I can do what I want. And there are certainly people who get into those kinds of relationships, including men who are abusive or who, whatever. I'm not saying this guy is abusive, who left the comment, but I wouldn't be surprised me if he were, because there is in a partnership, you're not looking for power over someone. In a partnership, you're not looking for power over someone. So you don't go, I'm allowed to fuck a lot of people, and you're not. So that was the one thing I wanted to point out, that it comes from either fear, like, I don't know how to tell if this is a good woman, so I'm going to put up a bunch of rules to go by so I feel safe. Number 2 comes from control and wanting power over and wanting to dominate someone. I would never date a woman who makes, who has had more sex partners than me. I want someone who is submissive, subservient, and quiet. Because again, why does it matter? And then number 3, here are the consequences though, because see, we live in a world now where even though women, unless they're religious, they really have explored their sexuality. Most women have explored their sexuality. But here's the problem. I was raised at a time when I wasn't supposed to like sex. And all these men that are so stuck on body count, here's the danger. You are possibly, and I think you are, you can disagree with me, destroying your sex life. You've taken all the sexual juice out of the relationship because you've communicated to your girlfriend that her lust is unwelcome because you can't separate it out. It's impossible to separate out. This whole idea, and I don't know how many women were able successfully to do this in the religious movement. You're not supposed to have any sexual feelings, none, except for the man that you marry. And when you grow up like that, putting the Virgin Mary on a pedestal, putting asexual women on a pedestal and trying to be asexual, you can't just turn it on because you've had to repress it, push it down, judge yourself for it. You have not allowed yourself to tune into your desire, your pleasure, and you have all the shame associated with your sexual feelings. It's hard to undo it. Then you get into a relationship with a guy who lets you know, I fucked all these women, or even I wasn't able to fuck all these women, so you better not have either. So there's a damper on her sexuality right away. She gets the clear message that her sexuality is off-putting. I want to put it in better words. A woman dating a man who lets her know, I am very concerned with body count, is going to automatically, if she hasn't already, push down her sexuality. She's not going to try to be too sexy in the bedroom. She's not going to tell you her fantasies. Her sexuality will be very limited because she doesn't want to upset you. And you can't handle her sexuality. You've already said you can't handle her sexuality. I'm going to call this video body count, when you can't handle her sexuality. Now, I want to distinguish, it does not mean that I am not implying that there's anything wrong with women who want to be virgins until marriage, who are choosing celibacy. I'm not saying that at all. Please don't misunderstand me. What I am saying is that a woman, more than men, we are women in this society. I'm getting on my soapbox here. Women in this society are taught that our value, especially in the religious communities, is inversely related to our sexuality. The more sexual we are, the less value we have. The Virgin Mary, the Virgin construct, the Virgin is so valuable. Except when you get in a relationship. And so a woman who is raised with that is going to have a very difficult time ever owning or tuning into or accepting or feeling her own desire, her own pleasure, her own joy, and trusting her body and being in her body. It's just going to be harder. And I speak a little bit from experience because I spent my whole marriage until year 23 or 24 under this construct that I shouldn't be sexual. Especially from messages I had or my ex-husband telling me I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. I had to constrain my sexuality, so I was so repressed in bed. I didn't allow myself to enjoy it because I didn't want him to disrespect me. And that's the message that these body count obsessed men are sending to their women. If you are a sexual being, I will not respect you. The only reason I'm with you is because your body count is low. If it were higher, I wouldn't be with you. Do you know how damaging that is to your sex life and to her sex life? Now, the woman has to own this. It's her responsibility, but I'm just saying you're not gaining anything by putting that on a woman. You are hurting your own sexuality. You're hurting your own sexuality, your own sex life with this woman with that. I know so many couples who have told me, and I work with men, they start doing later on, especially in their relationship, they start doing these role play things, or like, what if this guy was watching, or what if you flirted with this guy, or what if you flirted with this girl, and all that is off the table now. Some couples, after 20 years, they want to be swingers, or they want to have threesomes, or like, all that is off the table. It is something I can't sign up for that. I'm sorry. I am 61 now, and I am done. I am done with men trying to like own me or have power over me or try to control me or try to avoid me. It's like, what are you so fucking afraid of? What are you so afraid of? What about a woman's sexuality is so terrifying? We're not talking about cheating. We're talking about her sexuality and things she did before she knew you. Now, I will speak personally again. When I am in a relationship, I'm monogamous. When I'm single, I fuck other guys. I'm a sexual being. And I'm not going to turn that off to please some guy, some future guy that might come along, or to be subservient to this female myth that a healthy, wholesome woman has no sexuality at all, and that her value is defined by turning off her sexuality, while men can go around fucking whoever they want. And another irony, the men that are so obsessed about the body count of their girlfriends, they're not committed to that. It's a control thing, because if they really believed in that, the only men I respect on body count are men who are hot and can get women and choose not to. I'm going to repeat that. The only men I respect on the body count question is a man who can easily get women, and he chooses not to because he wants sex in a relationship. But those aren't the men blabbing about body count. The men blabbing about body count fall into two sectors. One, the guys who can't get any women at all, and they're just jealous and angry and resentful at women who can get sex because they can't, and I don't want you to have what I didn't get, so they're little crybabies. And the other group are the men that fuck around, the players and the pickup artists, who are bringing up everybody's body count because they don't care about body count. They just don't want you to have it. They can have a high body count. They're contributing to other women's high body count, but they want you as the subservient, weak woman who won't challenge them because they're cowards. They can't handle a powerful, sexually confident woman like myself. A lot of guys would never want to date me because I scare the shit out of them. Not because I'm nice, but because I would challenge their bullshit. And I wouldn't put up with their bullshit. Now, like I said, the man I would respect is the man who says, I am committed to sharing my body only with the woman that I'm in a relationship with. I'm committed to that. I'm committed to only sharing my body with the woman I'm in a relationship with or a woman I marry. Hey, those guys are hard to find. They're really rare to find. I have never heard a guy, I mean, I have heard men say, I only want to have sex in relationships. It's true. But I don't know if those guys go around talking about body count. I think those guys are more really just looking for a woman that has their same spiritual values and character values. And I don't know if they're concerned about this whole body count thing. But I think that also in our society, people focus so much on things like, men are valued on being workaholics and being productive because people measure themselves by external things rather than internal things like their character. Are you honest? Are you trustworthy? Are you reliable? Do you keep your word? Are you sober? So many alcoholics walking around. Do you take care of your health? Do you like contributing to my life? Are you financially responsible? Can I count on you? Are you fun? Are you happy? How do you get along with your kids? How do you treat other people? Do you inspire me? Are you funny? Are you interesting? Do you read things? I mean, people don't talk about that. They're just talking about stupid body count. On this guy's comment, his woman might have a low body count, but is she just this meek little mouse? Is afraid to speak up? Especially, when he starts trying to control her in other ways? Because it sounds very controlling to me to just focus on that one thing. People also focus a lot on money, status, power. Like, I can't believe how much money the Kardashians make. And they're a very flawed family. They have made their money on lies, on lies and cheating, and fakery. I kind of watch them sometimes just to get like a schadenfreude, so the rich people are just real, they all have affairs, they all cheat, they lie. That's how they make their money. And people look up to them. So a lot of society is focused on the wrong things, in my opinion. But anyway, what I think is really important, like for me, I will tell you this. For my body count is really high, but I will tell you this. It was all done sober with intention. I think that's the really important thing. Like, why is your body count so high? Were you just like some drunk woman inviting random men over late at night and having bareback intercourse that resulted in a bunch of children that are running around? Or did you have like an intention behind it? Was it maybe part of your job? Was it part of your sexual exploration? Was it curiosity? Was it that you had boyfriends that you were committed to and you had safe sex with them? There's a lot more to it. And there are many women who just indiscriminately go around trying to hook up. I want to say this also in this video. I do not believe in women indiscriminately hooking up. There's nothing in it for the woman. I think that if you're going to be sexually active, to be intentional with your sexual energy and ask yourself, does this man deserve my body? Because a lot of guys, see, we as women, we would only have sex with guys that we would introduce to our parents or our children. Even for me, I don't dance with guys unless I could imagine myself fucking him or introducing him to my children or my family. I've always been that way. But men don't care. They'll fuck anything that walks. A lot of men will fuck anything that walks. So you have to know this about men. This way you should be very intentional with your sexual energy. And if you want to sexually explore, ladies, in my opinion, I'm 61, my opinion is to get a boyfriend that's committed to you and explore with him. That's what I was looking for after my divorce. I thought I would meet a man and I could explore my sexuality with him in the way that I was so fucking repressed for 25 years in my marriage. I take responsibility for that. However, I came out of that marriage feeling so repressed sexually, so many things I was never allowed to do for all these years. And in trying to find people to do it with, I ended up going through a lot of people. Because I like younger guys, frankly, and I've worked my way up now from the 20s to the 40s, but it's still low. I need to work my way up a little higher, but um, it was me exploring my sexuality for myself. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. I wish I would have had one person to do it with, because it would have saved me a lot of freaking heartache. And that's the other thing about women with high body count. Sometimes women ended up there because of bad teachings from society. Some people get addicted to drugs because they don't know they can get addicted. The doctor prescribed the OxyContin and then they got addicted. They didn't know they would get addicted. Okay? Or a woman who gets into a relationship with an abusive man because she doesn't know what to look for. Or what are the red flags for a narcissist, like not knowing. And a lot of women in this era of the sexual revolution, we're told we can fuck like men. We don't need to have feelings, you know? And now women are starting to realize this is not what we want. And there's kind of like a counter trend coming out. So a lot of women were like, okay, we can work like men. We're going to pursue our careers. We're not going to get married. We're going to have sex. And I'm not going to be mad at these women. It's unfair to be mad at them because that's what society taught them. That's what the feminists taught us. They're women. We trusted them. But it turns out that's not what we want. And so a lot of women are saying, I didn't want that. Now I'm going to be celibate until I get married because all this hooking up, I didn't like it. And now this woman is a richer woman for her experience. She's not going to do that again. She doesn't like hooking up. She was just following the culture, just like all these trans girls or women, women who copy some fad. They were trying it out. It was a cultural trend. It doesn't mean that she's like unable to pair bond or has no morals or can't be trusted. She was probably honestly just cheating, just hooking up with all these guys, thinking it was empowering. And now she found out it wasn't. Again, guys just looking at the numbers completely don't even realize that. That's why we have all these books like The Case Against the Sexual Revolution. And another thing I want to say, when you get with a woman who has a low body count, I think she's always going to wonder what it was like to fuck all these other guys. She's going to see all these good-looking guys and be like, oh my God, I want to fuck him. But I can't tell my boyfriend because he's going to shame me and he won't like me anymore, so I have to keep it a secret. Instead of saying, hey, honey, see that guy? I wonder what it's like to fuck him. That's the way that an open-minded guy would be. Although usually women don't want to fuck other guys when they're in a relationship. But she's always going to be curious. She's always going to be curious. But the advantage, like someone like me who's fucked a lot of guys, I don't have the curiosity anymore about what if I fuck this guy or I fuck this guy or I fuck this guy. Like, I'm not curious anymore. I already know it doesn't give me anything. I already know. My curiosity is satisfied. So ideally, you want a woman that's fucked a lot of guys and she chose you. However many guys she fucked, it could be 0. It was whatever she wanted it to be, not because her parents shamed her, her religion shamed her, or she was told she's a good girl if she didn't have any sex. She's had the sex she wanted, whether it's 0 men or 100, or probably for most women it'll be 10 or 20, I don't know. And she doesn't want that, and she chose you. And the guy, ideally a guy, for me, my ideal guy would be able to get women, but he's done it. He doesn't want that anymore. He wants something more solid, more real. But if he's still a player and she's still fucking around, no good. That adds into the category of mental health issues. Like, why are you dating if you're so insatiable for variety? You shouldn't be dating. Me personally, I'm a believer in monogamy. And you guys all know I'm a bookkeeper, a very high quality bookkeeper, I must say. But if I were in a relationship, I would not be a bookkeeper anymore. But I would have to find a guy who's worthy, because I love my life. But like, are you worthy of even being in my life? And are you worthy of me making a career change? You know, is this relationship adding enough to my life that I would make a career change? I'm not opposed to making a career change or moving or getting a dog. Like, I'm very open to life. But why make a change? You know, because I'm happy. And that's the power of women making their own money. And I will tell you this, a woman who's not afraid of losing a guy and who makes her own money and who says, I am receptive to a relationship. I want a relationship, but I don't need a relationship. That woman does not have to subdue her sexuality, her power, her desires, or her feelings. And that's the most powerful woman. That's the woman that I really want to work more into. Because I still have a little bit of that sexual shame thing going. But it's very small now. It's not as big as it used to be. Because I found in my real life that people don't look down on me. They like me even. Even the men I see, they like me and they respect me. Even though I'm sexual. They don't talk down to me. They don't objectify me. They're very respectful because they just respect me somehow. In spite of it, maybe because I'm so intentional with my sexuality and have good boundaries. And so I think that's what it comes down to. Anyway, so I just want to thank you guys. Now, see, I'm like in pretty good shape now for pretty good shape. And yes, I am a sexual being, and I have a Just for Fans page. I don't know, you guys can't really see my booty. It's like so good. So this is for all the guys who are like, my body count is too high. I want to say like, fuck you, I don't give a shit what you think. And thank you for watching my video.